Hi everyone, this is Felicia. I've decided for today's video to make my first video so you can get to know me a little bit. So I have the list right in front of me of questions, so I'll just be reading them out loud to you and answering them as I go. Alright then, let's get into it. So I will make this video last forever. So, first question is, first app you check when you wake up in the morning? Well, to be honest, the first app I check in the morning is Facebook, strangely enough. Or maybe it's not strange, I mean, because I have all my contacts with my relatives and everything on Facebook, so, and I like look at memes and share memes and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what's the first thing I do in the morning. I just check Facebook and maybe say happy birthday to anyone that their birthday is on. So that's that. Next question is first broken bone. First broken bone. To be honest, I never really had a broken bone. Thanks God. I never had any really big accidents. Well, when I was 12, I fell off my bike. So because of that, I kind of dislocated my jaw. But I'm not really sure about that. But it sometimes it makes really terrible clicking sounds like this. Weird, creepy. I know about that. At the same time, when I fell off my bike, I hit my hand real hard and it was a bit swollen and I couldn't really write with it like for a week, but the inflammation went away, so I'm not sure. Maybe it was irresponsible for my parents not to take me to a doctor after this thing happened to me, because I still have a scar right here. But life is life and that is that. I'm not sure anything was broken in my hand. I can move my wrist all okay and my fingers, thankfully, but I don't know. I think if it would have been broken, it would have been worse. But even though 14 years later I still need to go and check my jaw. Gotta get that checked out by a doctor eventually. Next question. First foreign country you ever visited? First foreign country I've ever visited, I mentioned before, I'm from Moldova. So it was to Romania, right across the border. It was a 2-week trip with my cousins, and it was the only time that I went with my whole family, like my mom, my dad, and both my brothers, which are older than me. We went for a week at the seaside, at the Black Sea in Kostinești. I think it's kind of a village. I haven't been there since. I've been in the area definitely, because there's like this town Constanța, and this place in like Mangalia, Vamaveka. I think Kostinești is something like a little beach town like the other ones that I just described. And then for another week we went to Transylvania, to the mountains, Carpathian Mountains. We went all together and I've seen Dracula's castle. I've traveled on the Gondola and it was very beautiful. I've seen so much architecture. It was in Brasov. It's a big city in Transylvania, and I love it. I mean, I think that was like kind of my first encounter with real architectural sites and everything. And though I don't remember much, and I don't really even have pictures, unfortunately, from that time, but I do keep the sensation in my mind, and I feel like a little child every time when I go to a new country and explore it, especially if I see interesting and cool architecture and medieval stuff, pretty much. So, next question. My first makeup item. My first makeup item that I've ever owned, if I haven't posted my previous video already, was lipstick. I've said this story about that my neighbor gave me some lipsticks. Then mom said that it's not really according to the hygiene, so she took them away and bought me the exact same colors that she had. So that was my first makeup item, and I was about 10 years old. Yeah, I was about 10 years old. My first tape or CD, the first tape that I ever had was a blank tape, because I never really My brother listened to music. He had a collection of like Nirvana, Offspring tapes and stuff like that, and I pretty much listened to what both of my brothers were listening to, and I really don't regret that because I mean I had encounter with pop culture and stuff like that, but I still preferred the music that they were playing on. But my tape was a blank tape because I had a little cassette player that worked as a recorder and a radio, so sometimes I recorded myself, like talking, recorded my friends, stuff like that. So it was like my first cassette was blank, and I was recording different kind of stuff, and I don't even know where that cassette is. I think it perished somewhere in our process of moving. So that is the little story about my first cassette. Well, tape cassette, whatever. Next, my first car. Well, I don't have a driving license, so I don't have a car. But if you consider that the car that drives my husband, it's bought and supported from both of our incomes. Pretty much he chose it because I don't know nothing about cars. He bought a Hyundai. It was black. It was quite, I think it was like from 2006. I don't know anything about cars, so let's just leave this question. I don't drive, I don't have a driving license, but hopefully I'll do it very soon. I really want to do it, but I never find kind of the right set of mind to actually sit, learn, and read about it, and this is something that I just need to do, and I will do, and I'll be honest, I'm terrified. Not of the fact of driving, but of the exams, because it costs money, and I know that not a lot of people pass it from the first time. So that's the only fear that I actually have, of not passing the exam. So that's why it kind of gives me anxiety of learning it, because I'm like, and what's the point of learning all this stuff? Because if I'm gonna go and fail anyway, which is not a good set of mind. But that's the way that I feel about it. I'm gonna step over it and I'm gonna do it anyways, but that's how I feel about it. So that's that. That's my little story. First celebrity crush, as in who would I date out of the celebrities, or the celebrities that I actually like. Because to be fair, I have my celebrity crushes that, I have women celebrity crushes that I really like since I'm a kid, and I was always fascinated by them, and I'm still fascinated like until now. And if you would consider that, I found out about them at the same time. So there's two of them. One is Data Von Teese and the other one is Kat Von D. And I know that they might be like very controversial personalities, but for example, Kat Von D, I like her as an artist, and all her work and her taste and her aesthetic, her ideology and everything. It's a different story, but what she creates is absolutely, I would like to have everything of what she creates. I need to get my hands on some of her new shoes. And Data Von Teese, she's beautiful. Her aesthetics and everything that she does is like my soul. Like everything, like the dark side and the glam side is like Kat Von D and Data Von Teese. It's like that's my aesthetics. That's what I go for. That's my soul. Like that's where the core of my personality actually is, in the aesthetic of these two celebrities, to be fair. But apart from that, if you say it as a man, then I don't know. I'd say Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine. I know he's quite old now, but I mean, damn. I like comic books and I like Marvel movies and everything, and when I've seen the first X-Men movie, it was like, Jesus. It was like, damn. Now that is a man. Though Wolverine is a character, but I don't know. I don't really have like a crush on actual real people, except for the ones that I just said, but I mean, it was more like fictional characters that they played. But yeah, Wolverine is definitely one of them. And I've seen all the movies with wherever he appears because I freaking love that character. I don't know why, but I like dark soul man characters with broken dark backstories and kind of the sense of rightfulness and everything. I just like that boy with dark backstories, and he was like very mysterious and stuff like that. And to be fair, he is still one of my favorite characters out of the Marvel until today. And my first cooking experience as a kid,
my mom and my grandmother usually would cook a lot of stuff on the kitchen, especially on the weekends, like prepare different pastries, and I was always like curious to go and see what they're doing. So kind of bit by bit, I just observed what they were doing, and maybe they would give me a little thing to do as well, like to fill in a little pastry
or any other miniature thing, and I would do it and I would eat it myself, and I would kind of be proud that I did something by myself,
considering that I was like a 6-year-old.
But my actual first experience of cooking something on my own was an omelette.
So I used to put everything I could. I put tomatoes in it, I've been putting like spring onion, mushrooms, just anything I could. Once I wanted to put cucumbers, and mom told me I better not because they're gonna taste terrible. So I've put gherkins instead, and I had a weird way of learning how to cook because, to be fair, at some things I'm really good and some things I'm still learning how to do. But overall, I wouldn't say I'm such a bad cook, especially if I'm not rushing anywhere, because to rush on cooking something is the most that I hate because it never turns out the way I like it. And I think the second thing that I ever learned is pasta, but it's not included in the question. My first internet activity with the Russians have something like a mail room. So that was like my world, my minute. So I had that as a social media, like my email. I used that as my social media because there wasn't any Facebook back then yet, or even if there was, because I'm not sure if there was anything back in 2005. I didn't have MySpace. Facebook wasn't a thing yet, so I just had my email. I just had that email, and I would actually email my friends and stuff like that. That was because there was even like the guys that I was like talking to. Often I would just write them emails, and that's how I would talk to them if I would message them over the phone. So that's that. My first ever job, if you'll think of something that I did for money, was I went with my friend. We gathered cherries for one of the neighbors because she took us with her dad with a car and to the land where they had cherry trees, and we gathered some cherries, and she paid us like a little bit. It was like a one-day thing, but it was kind of fun. I liked it. It was an interesting experience. That was the first ever job that I ever had. Next, my first language. So my first language is Romanian because I'm from Lova, and even when I said that I went to for the first foreign country that I went to was Romania, well, politically we're two different countries, but my first language is Romanian. I consider myself Romanian, and I don't want to get into politics, but it is what it is, or whatever it is. So that is that. Next question. My first musical instrument. Well, my first musical instrument was actually a piano. I did piano lessons since I was 6 throughout until I was 10 years old, so about 5 years of piano lessons. I don't own a piano now. I know how to read the music notes and everything, so if I would have an opportunity, I might be able to like learn how to play some melodies, because I still remember something of what I used to. I have the ability to teach myself how to sing things. My first pet ever was a parrot. Her name was Laura, and she was very cute. Every time my brother would play the runner, he would always like go to her and like shake his head like that, and she would go like that, and she would start kind of like singing a lot, like doing that weird sound like. The next one, my first piercing, and where did I get it? So I guess I'll just say something very classic. My first piercings were these two little. I got my ear pierced, and that's what I got hooked up on, to be fair. But if you would consider it outside my face, I had an eyebrow piercing before, but I took it out. My first tattoo, well, this is my first and only tattoo I have for now. I have plans to do a lot more, to be fair. But don't tell anyone. And this is literally just, I've just cut out the symbol from playing cards. This is like from Russian playing cards, Queen of Spades. This is a Cyrillic D. They don't call queens queens, they call them dama, which is lady. So they're ladies, not queens. So this is a lady of spades. It's related to an urban legend that I used to know when I was told when I was a teenager, and it was the fact that my grandmother from my father's side, she did card reading. This is pretty much a symbol of a witch, and she told me that according to the card, the Lady of Spades is my symbol, the Queen of Spades is my symbol. And just to let you know, I don't tattoo every single thing. It looks cool. I like to give meaning to what I do. My first soft toy. Well, my first soft toy was a teddy bear. It was a little brown teddy bear that I got on Christmas when I was like, I think I was like 3 years old. That was my favorite toy ever. I mean, I had dolls. I had a lot of it. That was like my favorite toy. Like my favorite. He was like my friend. I lost it when I took it to school once, and I don't know where I left it or forgot it. And I was a bit bummed by that, but it is what it is. It was a little brown teddy bear, just like the one that Stewie from Family Guy has. My first thought today. What was my first thought today? Yesterday I had a little bit of a drink, so my first thought today was like, Jesus, I just don't want to vomit. My first time on a ship. My first time on a ship was I was on a field trip with my classmates. So it was like a school field trip. I don't remember where we went and what we saw, but I know that we took a little cruise on. It's not like a pedal boat, but it was kind of like the aspect of one of those pedal boats. Like you can put up a restaurant and everything. So we took like an hour cruise or something like that. It was kind of interesting. It was on the river. It wasn't in the sea. It was fun. I don't get seasick, so yeah, that's another fact about myself. The first book I ever remember reading was a fairy tale by a Romanian writer called Harap Alb by Ioan Caraga. It's a really cool quest story about a dude and some guys that meets along the road that has some weird ass magical powers. So I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff, I would still recommend you reading it, because even though he was like a children's writer, but he had a good sense of humor. The first concert I ever attended to, the first concert I ever went to was to our local Beatles. Like they were like the jam, because that was like a posh style rock concert in an actual concert hall. They played old school rock music. Their band's name was Narok, and my dad was a friend with one of the composers and guitar players and voices of that band. That friend of his actually played at my wedding, and he played a couple of their songs as well. I grew up with their music. They were kind of widely and famous like during the Soviet Union and stuff like that. So, and they were like kind of a Beatles version from the Soviet Union. So I mean, it is kind of cool because I kind of realize where my tendencies of music come from, because I freaking love all the rock music. And I mean, genre of music I mostly listen to. The first film I remember seeing, I don't know if I remember. Well, to be fair, there was so many movies. I think it's The Gladiator. I must have seen some other movies apart from that, but the first scene I remember seeing definitely was The Gladiator, because my brother went and rented the cassette to watch The Gladiator. So yeah. I was like, I don't remember, I was like 6 years old or something like that, and I've seen The Gladiator, yeah. I grew up with whichever movies my brothers were watching, and definitely there were Tarantino movies and movies with Jean-Claude Van Damme, so, I mean, blood and violence everywhere. The first person that I talked to today is my husband. He sleeps with me in the same bed and he always wakes me up in the morning, so I mean, obviously he is the first person that I talk to every day. The first text I sent today, I think the first text I sent today was to my friend, because I replied to one of her texts. I need to look into my phone to remember what was it about. So that's the first text that I sent today. The first thing I do every morning is I go and take a shower. It's just something that I need to do. It's just a necessity, not something else. It's just a pure necessity. The first thing I do when I get home, well, I usually go to my room and take off the clothes that I'm in, and I don't know, maybe go and take a shower or just put on some more comfortable clothing. It depends. If I'm coming from the gym, then I'm taking a shower. If I'm not, I'm just changing my clothes and it's something more comfortable. The first time I've ever got drunk, I think I was like 13 years old. My friends took me with them because they lied to some older dude that they were like 15 or something. And I went with them and I lied about my age, and they gave me a little glass of beer and I drank it and I started laughing and I just couldn't stop. I guess I was drunk from one freaking glass of beer. That's the story. What messed up kids we were. Oh my god. When did I got to go to my first party? Well, if you consider a party like a birthday party, then I don't remember when was the first time I went to a birthday party. To the first grown-up party, I think I went to when I was about 16 or 15. Something like that, something in between. I think it was a birthday party with one of my classmates. She was crazy. Her name was Margot, and she liked to call herself Maggie. And I think that was like the first real party, the first kind of grown-up party we went to. That kids were allowed to drink alcohol and make a fool of themselves. And I think I drank vodka with beer, and I vomited like 3 times that night. And I vomited and I kept drinking, and that is a terrible thing. Don't ever do that. So I guess you enjoyed the information that I've given to you in my answers of today, and you had a little bit of fun. I mean, if you have any ideas of videos that you would like me to do, comment them down below. I would like to interact with you, and honestly, I enjoy doing this. And if you want to find out more about my points of view, about what I see every day and things like that, you can follow me on Instagram. I'll link it down below, and I'll be more than happy to see you next time. Thank you very much, and have a nice one.